Everybody used to come out in Sydney to see you. Everybody came out in Melbourne. Crowds of 15,000 in Melbourne, 10,000 here.
38,000 in Melbourne.
You got 38,000 in Melbourne.
When I fought Nelson the second fight, yeah.
Yeah. Now, that fight you weren't prepared for. That was the first time, basically, you lost your way.
Yeah, that was maybe the first time I got off the aeroplane and I didn't even win a fight. I got a draw and I was a huge hero. People comparing me to Don Bradman and Farlap and, you know, and all of a sudden, you know,
Did you get a big head, Jeff?
Without doubt. Let me tell you, don't. I mean, although I tried my hardest to stay focused and to be normal, it's impossible. When you go to somewhere, you know, the doors open for you and you go in a taxi and they don't want to take money off you, and you go to a restaurant. I go to a restaurant today and people want to give me free food. I say, listen, there's people there who can't even afford to eat. Give it to table 6 that look like, you know, they got no money. They give. I'll pay for mine, but you give it to them, and you know. But it doesn't work that way. I mean, people like successful people and they like to help us, and I mean that's why the rich get richer and the poor stay poor.
So you arrived back in Australia and you were right up there and you were floating. Those feet were off the ground for the first time in Jeff Fenech's life.
Without doubt, and it's again, Murray, I can say this: it's most probably the most valuable lesson that I'll ever learn. Not only can I lecture and teach people through my own experiences, but it'll never happen to me again. And you know, I'll never say it won't happen to anybody that I speak to, because I'm a strong believer in this also, that sometimes you've got to learn by your own mistakes. And you know, I've preached and spoken to people and they still go out and do the wrong thing. Sometimes you've got to learn by your own mistakes. So it's very, very hard to think that you're going out there and you're listening to somebody say it, but then what happens is you go back and you sit down and think, shit, I heard Jeff Fenech, you know, I was warned about this, and then all of a sudden you learn from it. So to people who listen to me talk, at the end of it I say, I know you're going to make a mistake, but I just hope it's not a big one. It's not one that you can't rectify, you can't fix, because, you know, we do learn from our own mistakes. It's very, very hard to learn from what somebody else is telling you from their experiences. But, you know, I try hard. I go out there and I practice, and I practice what I preach, because I've been through it all. I've been to the top of the Mount Murray and I've been to the bottom. So, you know, I know exactly what I'm talking about.
So the wrong preparation for that bout, everything wrong, and yet, Jeff, you almost pulled it off. You came right back. I think in the 7th you almost nailed it. Yeah,
well, the first round I got knocked down, the second round, so I'm behind by 4 rounds straight away automatically. At the end of the 7th round, I'm even on one of the scores. I'm 1 point behind, and I'm just about to turn the fight back around again, and I got nailed again. But like I said, Murray, I had some very, very bad health problems. I've had bad hands all my career, and I got injected just before the fight, and it certainly didn't help with the medication I was taking. I felt very lightheaded, and I don't remember much of the fight.
And then, of course, we had the other problem that you had right from day one, quite extraordinary, and let's have a look at them, because they are the thing. Where were the problems with your hands?
Well, mate, if you just notice that my index knuckle on both hands prelude and sticks right out. So instead of punching with that, I punch with this. And as I punch with this, I break the back of my hand all the time. This inflames, and because I punch with one knuckle. So instead of like hitting with a clean fist, I punch with one knuckle.
Right.
And like just to touch it now, it hurts me. So just
there.
Yeah. So when I push down, this breaks at the back. And I've had operations here on both hands. I've had pins inserted and I've had them pushed back. One of the most respected surgeons in this country, mostly throughout the world, is a surgeon named Bruce Shepherd. And he said to me that never in his entire medical career has he ever put anybody under anaesthetic and heard them scream in absolute agony when he was inserting my pins. He said when he was putting my pins in, he just couldn't believe the agony that I was in, and while I was asleep still under anaesthetic, how much I was screaming, because he'd pushed my index finger to a position where it wouldn't go, like somebody twisting your arm up your back, you know, and he said he can't believe that I ever had a fight, let alone do what I had done.
Jeff, what about other types of pain? Were you ever frightened in the ring?
Never. I was always supremely confident. You know, I look at life and I think that that's one of the risks that I was prepared to take. I was a fighter, and if something happened to me in the ring, that's where I expected it to happen. I was ready for it. I mean, and if something did, I wouldn't regret it at all. I mean, I look at people, I think the classic example was a young boy by the name of Lance Hobson died just before I made my comeback, and just before I fought my last fight. And it really scared me, Murray, because I was at the gym and I was thinking like how this kid wasn't even hurt during the fight and he collapsed and died. I think of how great his parents were, because his parents got on TV nationally and said, listen, our son died doing what he loved. From a little kid, I remember this guy when he was a little kid, little toddler, like jumping around the ring, blonde hair, full of energy. And like, you know, although it's sad that he's no longer with us, but I thought it took a tremendous amount of courage for his parents to get out nationally and say that, look, our son died doing what he loved. If there was any way that he would have wanted to die, was in the boxing ring. That's where he went, you know.
And that's the other thing that comes through so clearly in talking to you and spending this part of the today with you. You loved fighting, didn't you? You've got memorabilia all round here. It was Jeff Fenech's thing. I
lived for it. I mean, like I said, and I didn't start until I was like 17 and a half. I'd never had a boxing event in my life. I went to the Olympics in 2 years. If people really know my story, it's mostly the most amazing boxing story of all time. I know I'm getting myself a pat on the back, but I only had 28 amateur fights. My 3 fights at the Olympics, the guys that I had total between them about 600 fights, maybe a bit more. As a professional, I won a world title after 6 fights. My 7th fight, won 3 world titles. The only person ever to do it undefeated at that time. So it was like that. I was born to fight.
Would you do anything differently again if you had your time over again and you were back like that kid, looking through that little wee piece of window at that boy in the gym? Is there anything you'd do differently?
No, I mean, the draws, the controversies, everything in my life has happened for a reason, and it's allowed me to be here and speak to you today, Murray. I know that if I was 5-time undefeated world champion, I know what these people are like, and I know what was building, that I wouldn't have had time to sit here with you and to explain things. It's just, life's just so funny, and what's happened to me has happened for a reason, and it's made me the person I am today. And at the end of the day, this is the person I've got to live with, Jeff Fenech today, not the guy who used to fight. I mean, I know what I could do in the boxing. I don't care what people say about me anymore. Whether they say that I could fight, whether they say I couldn't fight, I know what I could do, and I've got to live with the mirror, and that's all I've got to live with, the reflection in the mirror.
There's a couple of things about you which, in researching this, I love the stories. You have a very close relationship with your sister Veronica. Is she an important person in your life?
Well, throughout my career as a youngster, I just trusted everybody, and I let everybody do whatever they wanted to do with my money. At the end of the day, when I'd look back, I never had much, and I wondered why. My sister volunteered to help. She was quite bright and wanted to help me, and I let her help me, and ever since I've never looked back. I love her to death. She still helps me, do everything today. She overlooks she does everything for me. I mean, without her, I certainly wouldn't have been the person I am today. And I love my sister dearly.
And then there's another little story that people don't know about Jeff Fenech, and it's to do with an intellectually handicapped friend that you've got, who you take time out to help talk to and things. How did that relationship start, and what's it about?
It's a bit more than that, Murray. This is a young kid who used to get picked on around Maryville and stuff, so I was one of those kids who tease him, let him chase you when I was 13, 14, because he was a big kid. Well, as I grew up, I moved to Maryville, and I used to see kids pick on him at the school. At that time, I just became a boxer, and I didn't want nobody picking on this poor kid. And we got to close, we got to know each other, and ever since that day, I took him to my house every day. After I do my road work, I'd go to the pool, pick him up, take him home for breakfast, and I've now taken him all around the world. I mean, and the thing that people don't know, I've never done it to seek publicity, but I used to have to wipe his backside, clean him, feed him. It wasn't just like I'd take this kid away and he wasn't, I mean, I'd wipe his backside like an hour before I'd go in the boxing ring. I'd have to clean him, get him dressed. As I'd get dressed to go for my fight, I'd dress Con, get him ready, because he'd be with me in my camp. And he was very, very important to me. He still is today. I see him all the time, although today he's so much more independent than he was. He's a celebrity. He believes that he's a celebrity, and he goes out and enjoys life, which certainly, if I've done everything in my life, that's the one thing that I'm most proud of, that I helped this kid tremendously, and I know that I helped him tremendously.
Coming into your house today, a magnificent photograph signed by arguably one of the greatest boxers the world will ever see, Mike Tyson. Good mate? Very good, very close friends, yeah. I admire him and I feel sorry for him, because I believe that we're both very, very similar in lots of ways. Like, we talk and it's like I'm talking to myself and he says the same thing, but I feel very, very sorry for him, because I think that he's at a turning point in his career and his life. And I wrote him a letter that I'll show you a little later, and I never got a response, because who knows whether he would have got it or not, because once these people go through his mail, who knows
if Mike's seen it or not, but I wrote him a letter and I said to him that there comes a time in life where we've all got to stand up and put our right foot forward and speak up for ourselves. And I just think that Mike's letting people run his life and his career instead of trying to do what he thinks is right himself. He just wants to be nice to everybody, and he's got to stop doing that, or else he won't be remembered as the fighter that we both know that he could be.
Jeff, a lot of people say in life that you learn more from your downs than you do from your highs. That seems very clear that that's happened to you.
Without doubt. I mean, like I said, it was great being on the top of the mountain and riding that roller coaster. But when you're down the bottom and the door doesn't open for you the way it used to, then you really know. You know who Jeff Fenech is, and you remember who your real friends are. And you sit back and think. I remember my trainer Johnny Lewis used to say, Jeff, in your life you'll count your friends on one hand. And I used to always do that, lift my hands and my feet up and say that I had many, many friends. But today I'd be lucky to count them on one hand.
And yet those friends have stayed with you the whole way through, and you're very loyal to them.
Oh, without doubt. I mean, I've been more than loyal to my real friends, but I've also been a little silly by being over loyal to people that didn't deserve it. But again, I said it's a lesson, and as long as you learn things in life, you go on and you become stronger and you become better. And I believe as each day goes by in my life, I learn something, and I'm a better person. Who believed I got my own boxing show on Sky KO in Australia, and who believed that I'd ever be able to do that? I remember after my first interview, Bill Morty, my then promoter, said to my manager, "How many fights has this kid had? He's punchy already, he can't speak." Well, obviously I'd never spoken on the radio, I'd never been interviewed before, so it was very difficult. But these days you can't switch me off, look.
It's been wonderful to talk to you. We're pleased we haven't been able to switch you off. Congratulations on a great career. You brought a lot of people a lot of happiness, and let's hope you get that happiness as well.
Thank you, Murray, and to all the Kiwi guys, thank you for all your support throughout my career. Thank you very much.
And we'll have another Herald Card Deaker profile for you, same time next week.